Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going to be tackling innovation ecosystems. You know how those brilliant ideas actually make it from someone's brain into the real world? You've sent over some fascinating academic papers on this.
I did.
And I'm ready to untangle them all with our expert. No more lone geniuses in garages. It's all about the system now, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll be looking at the key players, how they interact,
Yeah.
and all those different stages of innovation. From that initial spark all the way to widespread adoption. It's like we're building a roadmap for turning those ideas into reality.
I love a good roadmap. Okay, first, stop on this journey. The triple helix model. Sounds kind of sciencey.
It is. Think of it like a DNA strand, but for innovation.
Okay.
We've got government, industry, and academia. Each one is a crucial part of that helix. And just like with DNA, the interplay between those strands, that determines the outcome.
So it's not just each one, doing their own thing. They have to work together.
Exactly. Take government, yes, they set the rules,
Yeah.
Regulations, funding, all that. But smart policies, they're the foundation. Think about things like tax breaks that encourage that risky research. Or strong intellectual property laws that are protecting those inventions. It's about creating fertile ground for innovation to sprout.
So it's not just about regulating, it's about actively encouraging innovation.
Right. And then you have industry. Their goal is profit, obviously. But to get there, they need that infrastructure and that stability that government provides. And they also need that talent and groundbreaking ideas coming from
Academia, the brains of the operation.
Exactly. Universities and research institutions are constantly pushing boundaries, generating all that knowledge. But here's where the triple helix gets interesting. It doesn't always exist in perfect harmony.
Oh.
There are different stages to this model.
Okay, so it's not a one-size-fits-all situation.
Right. We've seen examples of what's called the statist model, where the government tightly controls innovation. Think of the old Soviet Union, or even aspects of France's approach.
So very top-down, the government calling all the shots. What's the downside there?
It can stifle creativity. There's less room for that Wild West experimentation that often leads to breakthroughs. Then on the opposite end, you have the laissez-faire model, where each helix operates independently.
So everyone's off doing their own thing. Did that work out?
Well, the early U.S. and Sweden leaned towards this, and they had their successes. But even then, it wasn't completely hands-off. Military funding, for example, played a huge role in a lot of technological advancements.
So even in a free market of ideas, you still need some guiding force. That makes sense. But where's the sweet spot for innovation to really take off?
That's the balanced triple helix model, where we see true collaboration and overlap between government, industry, and academia.
Okay.
They each maintain their core roles, but they start working together, exchanging ideas and resources. This is where that knowledge-based society everyone's talking about can truly flourish.
Okay, balanced triple helix. Sounds promising. But the paper didn't stop there, did it? It throws in a twist. We need to reframe this model. What does that even mean?
It means recognizing that society and the environment, they aren't just passive bystanders in this process.
Oh.
They're active participants, influencing and being influenced by innovation.
Interesting. We always think about technology and economics, but forgetting the human and environmental side is a big oversight.
Exactly. Society shapes innovation through consumer behavior, the way we live our lives. Think about the rise of 3D printing. That's blurring the line between consumer and producer or decentralized energy production. That's changing how we think about resources and sustainability.
Whoa. So we're not just users of innovation, we're part of its DNA. Love that. But what about the environment? How does that factor in?
Well, think about it. Where we are physically, the resources we have access to, even the climate, all this shapes what kind of innovation is possible. And we're seeing a push for sustainable practices, the circular economy, innovation that minimizes damage and works within environmental limits.
Okay, so this reframed triple helix. Government, industry, academia, plus society and the environment. That's a lot to juggle. But the paper then throws in yet another layer. Levels of configuration within this balanced model. Feeling up to explaining that one.
Absolutely. Essentially, as innovation ecosystems mature, the roles of each player evolve. Think of it like going from a casual team to a well-oiled machine.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Walk me through these levels.
The first level is what the paper calls innovation helix impetus. Each helix is starting to collaborate, but still operating from their traditional viewpoints.
So baby steps towards working together.
Exactly. Think about a region trying to foster innovation. You might have a government funding research projects at a local university, with the hope that local businesses will eventually use those findings to create new products or services. Everyone's dipping their toes into the collaboration pool.
Got it. So what happens as they get more comfortable in that pool?
We move to the taking the role of the other stage. Here, each helix starts doing things traditionally outside their domain. A university might set up a venture capital fund to invest in student startups. A company might offer specialized training programs typically found in universities.
Interesting. So the lines start to blur. Everyone's becoming a bit of a hybrid. What happens as that blurring intensifies?
We reach bilateral to multilateral interactions. Collaboration becomes more complex, with dedicated organizations popping up to facilitate it. Think incubators, science parks, tech transfer offices.
Ah, those are the matchmakers of the innovation world, connecting the dots between ideas and resources.
Exactly. And at this stage, we also start to see the emergence of collective intelligence. No longer just individuals working in isolation, but groups with diverse expertise tackling complex challenges.
Love that. A team sport for the brain. What's the final level of this innovation ecosystem evolution?
The paper calls it institutionalization. This is where innovation becomes so embedded in routine practices and mindsets that it's simply how things are done.
Wow, so it's not just about structures and organizations anymore. It's a fundamental shift in how people think and operate.
Precisely. Innovation becomes part of the culture, a core value. That's when you know an ecosystem has truly matured.
Fascinating stuff. So we've gone from top-down control to this collaborative interwoven system where innovation is practically breathing on its own.
You got it. The triple helix model really helps us understand how innovation evolves over time, becoming more sophisticated and integrated into every aspect of society.
Okay, we've unpacked this triple helix model pretty thoroughly, but before we move on, you mentioned something about collective intelligence. That I want to dive deeper into. How does that concept really work in practice? And why is it so crucial for fostering innovation?
It's a great question, and one that's central to understanding how truly groundbreaking innovations emerge. Let's explore that further. Collective intelligence, it's like a superpower for innovation.
Oh.
Think about it. Even the most brilliant individual, they have blind spots, limitations. But when you bring together a diverse group of people, each with their own unique knowledge and experiences, something amazing happens.
Okay, so it's like each person brings a piece of the puzzle, and together they create a complete picture.
Exactly. And not just any picture, a more complex, insightful picture than anyone could have created alone.
Right.
Collective intelligence allows us to tap into a wider range of perspectives, challenge assumptions, and come up with truly creative solutions.
It's like that saying, two heads are better than one, but in this case, it's more like a whole network of interconnected brains working together.
Precisely. And this interconnectedness is key. It's not just about having a bunch of smart people in the same room.
Right.
It's about creating an environment where they can effectively share their knowledge, build on each other's ideas, and collaborate seamlessly.
So it's about fostering communication collaboration.
Yeah.
And that cross-pollination of ideas we talked about earlier.
Absolutely. And this was where those hybrid organizations we discussed, they play a vital role. They create the spaces, both physical and virtual, where collective intelligence can flourish.
That makes sense. But let's not forget the other model from the research you sent over. The multi-level perspective on innovation, or MLP. How does that fit into this whole innovation ecosystem puzzle?
The MLP model zooms in on the process of innovation itself, focusing on 3 levels: niches, socio-technical regimes, and landscapes. It helps us understand how innovations emerge, gain traction, and ultimately transform entire systems.
Okay, break that down for me. What exactly are these niches? It sounds like where those radical ideas first sprout.
You're right on the money. Niches are protected spaces, where those crazy ideas that challenge the status quo can be nurtured and developed. Think of them like experimental labs, or those skunkworks projects within companies, where teams are given the freedom to explore uncharted territory.
So it's like a safe haven for those disruptive innovations that might not fit into existing systems.
Exactly. Niches have fewer rules, less bureaucracy, and a higher tolerance for risk-taking. This allows for rapid experimentation and iteration, which is crucial in those early stages of innovation.
Makes sense. You don't want to stifle creativity with too many constraints right out of the gate. But what happens when those niche innovations start to gain traction? How do they move beyond that protected space?
That's where socio-technical regimes come in. These are the established systems, practices, and institutions that govern how things are done within a particular domain. Think of them as the rules of the game for industries, technologies, or even societal norms.
So they provide structure and stability.
Exactly. But here's the catch. While regimes are essential for providing order and predictability, They can also become resistant to change.
Okay.
You can become those core rigidities we talked about earlier, hindering the adoption of disruptive innovations.
So it's like those core capabilities that once made a company successful can become their downfall if they cling to them too tightly.
Precisely. Think about Kodak. They were the kings of film photography. But their dominance became a liability when digital photography emerged.
Yeah.
Their core capabilities became core rigidities, preventing them from adapting to the new landscape.
That's a great example. So if niches are the disruptors and regimes are the ones being disrupted, what role does the landscape level play? It sounds like the big picture view.
Exactly. The landscape level encompasses those broader contextual factors that influence innovation, but are largely beyond the control of individual actors, or even entire industries.
Give me some examples of those landscape level factors.
Think about macroeconomic trends. A global recession could stifle innovation by reducing investment capital,
Okay.
or demographic shifts. An aging population might drive innovation in healthcare and assistive technologies, or even cultural values. A society that embraces sustainability will likely see more innovation in renewable energy and eco-friendly products.
Okay, so it's like the big swirling vortex of forces that shapes the environment in which innovation happens.
That's a great way to put it. And the MLP model emphasizes that these three levels, niches, regimes, and landscapes, they're constantly interacting and influencing each other.
So it's a dynamic, interconnected system.
Exactly. And understanding these dynamics is crucial for navigating the complexities of innovation. For example, a niche innovation might emerge in response to a societal need. That's the landscape. But its success will depend on its ability to navigate the existing socio-technical regime. If the regime is too rigid, the innovation might struggle to gain traction.
So it's like a dance between these different forces.
I love that analogy. It's a delicate balance between disruption and stability, between pushing boundaries and working within existing systems.
This MLP model is really giving me a new appreciation for how complex innovation truly is. It's not just about coming up with a great idea. It's about understanding the whole ecosystem in which that idea needs to thrive.
You got it. And remember, these models, the triple helix and the MLP, they aren't meant to be rigid frameworks. They're tools for thinking, for understanding the dynamics at play.
Okay, so we've got these two models, the triple helix focusing on the key players and the MLP zooming in on the process itself. How do they work together? How do they complement each other?
That's a great question, and one that really gets to the heart of why these models are so valuable. Let's explore how they intertwine to provide a comprehensive view of the innovation landscape.
Okay, so we've got these two models, the triple helix focusing on the key players and the MLP zooming in on the process itself. How do they work together?
Think of it this way. The triple helix gives us the actors on the stage, while the MLP provides the script they're following.
Okay.
The triple helix highlights the importance of collaboration, between government, industry, and academia, while the MLP shows us how those collaborations actually play out at different levels of the innovation system.
So it's like a multi-layered performance.
Exactly. For example, the government might enact policies. That's the triple helix. That encourage the development of renewable energy technologies. Now, that's the MLP landscape.
Okay.
This could lead to increased funding for university research, again, triple helix. In that area, which then spawns startups, that's the MLP niche, developing innovative solar panels or wind turbines.
Okay, I'm seeing how these models fit together, but let's shift gears for a moment and talk about those hybrid organizations again. We touched on them earlier, but I want to dig deeper into their role in all of this.
They're the unsung heroes of the innovation ecosystem. They act as bridges, connecting different players, and facilitating the flow of knowledge, resources, and expertise.
Okay, give me some specific examples of how they work in practice.
Take tech transfer offices, for instance. They help researchers at universities navigate that often complex process of patenting their discoveries and finding commercial applications for their work. They're the matchmakers between academia and industry, helping those groundbreaking ideas find their way into the real world.
So they're like the agents for those brilliant, but maybe not so business-savvy researchers.
Exactly. Then you have incubators and accelerators, which provide startups with the resources and guidance they need to grow and scale their businesses. They offer things like mentorship office space, networking opportunities, and sometimes even funding.
I've heard of those. They're like boot camps for startups, right?
That's a great analogy. They help those early-stage companies refine their business models, build their teams, and attract investors. They're often specialized in specific industries or technologies, providing that targeted support and expertise.
And what about venture capital firms? They come in a bit later in the game, right?
Yes. Venture capitalists typically invest in companies that shown some traction and have the potential to grow rapidly. They bring significant capital to the table, but they also expect a high return on their investment.
So they're the ones who help those promising startups scale up and become major players.
Precisely. And then you have crowdfunding platforms, which have emerged as a powerful alternative to traditional funding sources. They allow startups to raise capital from a large number of individuals, often in small amounts, in exchange for rewards or equity in the company.
It's like democratizing investment, giving everyone a chance to support the innovators they believe in. And it's not just about the money, right? It's also about building a community around a project or idea.
Absolutely. Crowdfunding can be a powerful way to validate an idea, get feedback from potential customers, and build buzz around a product or service.
Fascinating stuff. So these hybrid organizations, they really play a vital role in nurturing and accelerating innovation.
They do.
But we've also talked about the challenges, those lock-ins that can stifle progress.
Right.
How do we avoid falling into those traps?
That's where a deep understanding of the triple helix and MLP models comes in. By fostering collaboration, encouraging diversity of thought, and remaining open to new ideas, we can create a more resilient and adaptable innovation ecosystem.
So it's about constantly challenging the status quo.
Yeah.
And embracing those disruptive forces.
Exactly. Remember those niches we talked about? They're crucial for generating those radical innovations that can break us out of those lock-ins.
Right. It's like constantly planting those seeds of change and creating the conditions for them to flourish. But this all sounds very theoretical. What are some concrete steps that governments, businesses, or even individuals can take to promote innovation and avoid those lock-ins?
One key takeaway is the importance of investing in research and development, particularly in those early-stage, high-risk ventures that might not have immediate commercial applications.
Okay.
Governments can play a crucial role by providing funding, creating tax incentives, and establishing those supportive regulatory frameworks.
So it's about taking a long-term view and not just chasing short-term profits.
Exactly. And businesses can foster a culture of innovation by encouraging experimentation, embracing failure as a learning opportunity, and providing resources for employees to pursue their own ideas.
It's about creating a space where creativity and risk-taking are valued.
Precisely. And individuals can contribute by staying curious, seeking out new knowledge and experiences, and connecting with others who share their passion for innovation.
This has been an incredible deep dive. We've explored the complex world of innovation ecosystems, from the key players and processes to the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead.
We've covered a lot of ground, but hopefully you now have a better understanding of how innovation happens and the factors that can either accelerate or hinder it.
It's been a fascinating journey, and just like any good journey, it leaves us with more questions than answers.
Exactly, and that's the beauty of it. Innovation is an ongoing process, a constant evolution. There's always more to learn, more to explore, more to create.
So until next time, keep on diving deep.